What was that, bro?
I don't know, because you always be like spitting and shit or like clearing your throat.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, bro. I'm disgusting, bro. I
You
get
always be
like a
doing that
backup of
shit.
phlegm, huh?
Yeah. No, I know. Like that's why whenever I'm around you, you even do it. Like when I'm around you, So I can only imagine someone who lives with you is like,
Well,
it's like oh, is used to that. Is used to that morning like throat clear.
yeah, bro.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So no, you're right. No, no, no. After a while, it becomes more like After a while, it becomes more like, okay. Ha- do you have a smoke detector at your house?
yeah.
Okay. Do you notice how it always chirps every like minute or so
That's
when
only
the
if it's
battery
at
is dying out?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you probably don't notice it anymore. It's probably been going on for years. It's going beep, very loud, but you got used to it. You completely ignore it, right? And
Oh, oh yeah. Go ahead.
hmm?
I know you're good. You're just trying
Okay,
to make
no,
me.
no, no. That's how it is because I deal with a lot of people, right? I deal with a lot of people speaking to them over the phone, and you hear the little smoke detector in the background. Like it's just like you're talking and everything, and just in the background you go beep, and it bothers you, but it doesn't bother that one person because they live there. They're used to it. So living with me in that morning is not clear. It's not clearance. That part, the family doesn't hear it, bro. Like I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and there I am, just like spitting out mucus, hawking phlegm and everything like that, and they
Hawking
don't hear
phlegm.
it. Just hawking phlegm, like yuck, yuck. Just spitting out those loogies, bro. And that's just part of it, bro. It's like the people that have a smoke detector where the battery needs replacement, and they can't hear it anymore, right? Everybody else that comes visit them, they remind them, hey, I think you have to replace the battery on that smoke detector. But they don't hear it. They're like, what are you talking about? Because they've heard that little chirp for many, many years. The same thing with my family. They hear me just hawking them loogies, just spitting out this phlegm that's backed up, from all the of the coldness of the night, and they don't even hear it, bro. I'm 5:30 in the morning, bro. They don't hear me hawking out these loogies, bro. But Dream, thank you very much for hopping on this here live. I hope you've been doing well of health and sane of mind, and the good even fall to the Mexican G. He starts it off by saying Crawford never stayed on code. He never gave Boots an opportunity. You know what, Mexican? Yep, DMG, you're absolutely right, bro. We are gonna talk about this thing called quote unquote staying on code, bro. Hopefully you guys teach me what that means, bro. I think it means something like loyalty or code switching. I'm not too sure what it means, but maybe you guys can help me understand that concept, especially the way that it applies to the sport of boxing. And Mr. Vince Vargas says, "Good evening, fellas. Good evening to you too, Mr. Vargas. I hope you are doing well of health, staying and staying sane of mind." DMG says, "Boots made a move that was beneficial to him." Yep, and I think you know what? Let's just kick it off, right? Let's just kick it off. Dream, as you may know, right? Everything Canelo Crawford is like the news du jour, right? The news of the day. Everything that comes out about it is out. We're only about 2 weeks away from probably one of the most. It should be a very insignificant fight, right? But there's so many things at stake here that it really has become one of the greatest fights that can be made possible, right? Because you're talking about two undisputed champions who whose careers are very different, right? We have a very accomplished,
Oh,
very active fighter in Canelo Alvarez who has about 60 or so fights. He's fought in Hall of Famers. He's fought in four divisions. He's fought in all the names of the years gone by. He's fought the new guys coming up through the ranks, undefeated fighters, knockout artists. He's fought them all, right? Every single style. This is Canelo, Saul Santos Alvarez Barragan. And then we have another undisputed fighter and Terrence Bud Crawford, whose career is night and day to Canelo. He has half of the fights. He doesn't have any Hall of Famers. He is a four division champion, right? If you can believe it, but he's also two-time undisputed. So if we go, if we compare these two fighters, somebody's bound to say something to the effect of, well, Terrence Bud Crawford is a two-time undisputed champion, and that's something that Canelo's never done, bro. He's going in the Hall of Fame, shoe in, bro. Right? And that's true because accolades, accomplishments, titles, belts, all of that matters. And especially that undefeated record, right? Because that's one thing that Terrence Bud Crawford has over Canelo. He has an undefeated record. And he's been on a very hot knockout streak, right? I think he's knocked out about 13 of his last 14 opponents. And yet Canelo, conversely, has been losing that knockout power. In fact, I'd be surprised if he hasn't gone about 13 or 14 fights without a knockout, right? So these guys are coming into this arena, this theater of war, with a fan base that's very dedicated. Yes, Canelo Alvarez Barragan, he has all of Mexico, all of the Chicanos, all of the Latinos, he has all of these people, he has blacks and whites, and all of these people that are admiring him for what he's done in the sport so far. Win or lose, they respect the guy, right? And then you have Terrence Bud Crawford, who is the Johnny come lately for the most part, even though he's been around for over a decade now, right? Making moves, kicking butt, and taking names. This is Terrence Bud Crawford. But yet, Terrence Bud Crawford has never gotten the recognition that a fighter like him should get, right? A guy that's living his life on the straight and narrow, never gets into any trouble, never has any controversies. All you see is him becoming great in the ring, racing great athletic children, just keeping his nose clean, right? And when it comes to the eye test, Crawford passes the majority of people's eye test. In other words, Terrence Bud Crawford, just on the superficial of it all, just in the eye test, he's probably the greatest boxer in the sport currently. Over Usyk, over Bivol, over Beterbiev, over Canelo, over Gervonta Davis, over Naoya Inoue, over Bam Rodriguez, over Rafael Espinosa, all of these guys, right? And it's all on the eye test because his resume lacks luster, right? But on the eye test, he's everybody's favorite fighter. He's Usyk's favorite fighter. He's Bivol's favorite fighter. They call him the greatest boxer in the sport right now, right? His record does not reflect that. And we know that his career has been very controversial because there has been people that some people say have ducked him. The Charlos, Spence took years to fight him. The Danny Garcias, all of these cats, the PBC namely. Now, these guys are so popular in the sport of boxing right now. Every channel is just talking about him. It's gotten to the point that it's very boring. So we haven't really been addressing this stream. We've been skipping through these things because we're still a couple of weeks out. But I really thought that Bernie the Boxer, his most recent comments, along with Timothy Bradley's comments about code and code switching and betrayal and about blacks sticking together, if you know, you know, those kind of stuff. I think it brings something very interesting to this sport. And I wanted to have this conversation with you and a conversation with our listeners today. I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to tell me if in the sport of boxing there should be a code, a bro code, a black code. Should we stick to code? And Dream, I wanted to see if you can help me understand what does code mean, bro?
G code.
Yeah, yeah. What's that mean, bro? I'm really trying to understand what the G code is,
You're supposed to know. Nah,
because I'm the ultimate G, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're supposed to feel it in your soul, deep down. You know.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It's I don't know. They're just. I think they're just trying to So you know what started all this, right? Like this whole
Mm,
this whole conversation, right?
what is it?
It stemmed off from well, we already know like what happened like with Canelo and Boots. They're sparring each other, you know.
Hmm.
Boots ended up uh, posting some pictures of their sparring session, and pretty much what's his name? There's a dude named Bernie the Boxer, and he's this I don't know exactly. They say he's like a trainer as well, but he's more like a hype man, you
Yeah.
know. But they that's his name, Bernie the Boxer, and he's well known and pretty much walks around telling everyone he's pound for pound all this stuff, you know. So this guy came out saying, "Oh, you sold out, you know, you sold out," and he wasn't really giving too much context, but he did a really good job to like build this fight up, and that's exactly what I think he's doing. He's just trying to build a fight. He's just trying to create conversation. You know, that's really like they need to start building this fight somehow, you know. So he stirred up this conversation and wasn't really giving too much context. He just said, like, you know, whatever he got paid or whatever, you know, he's already rich. He's already a millionaire, you know. So I just he's just stirring up the pot, building the fight, and
Bernie.
Brandon the Boxer, yeah, and and he pretty much stirred up the pot and got everyone talking, and now everyone's insinuating, oh, he's talking about, you know, the like he's supposed to help, like he's insinuating like he's supposed to not go and not get that top notch experience, you know, regardless of how much he's getting paid. If he's getting paid for it, it doesn't matter. He's already, you know, like well off. Doesn't mean he's not trying to improve though. You
Hmm.
know, he's this is like once an opportunity, lifetime opportunity, bro. Like you're not gonna be able to spar this guy. You know, like you gotta remember, like Canelo and Triple G sparred once upon a time. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, and they actually spent training camps together. You know, so it's like it's totally normal. Everyone's just trying to. Or I mean, Bernie's just trying to start up the pot and trying to create this divide because that's what still is a fight. That's what still is a fight is race, you know. So that race thing, you know. So to me, I just think we have two guys that are really, um, like they're really smart, intelligent inside the
Hmm.
ring, and we're gonna get two high IQ individuals inside the ring, and they're just gonna try to read each other, bro. It's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if this is gonna be like one of the boringest fights, you know, until somebody gets clipped, you know,
Yeah,
because
that could be true.
that's what
So
happens.
just
That's what happens in the high level fights. That's what
you
you
know,
tend to see. But
well, unless
that's
it's
the. But it's
Devin
also.
Haney versus Lomachenko, that was
I know,
nothing
but it's about.
boring.
But it's also about two guys with high IQs that are like actually like the same height. If anything, Terrence is bigger or taller. I mean, and um, so like we're gonna have like a lot of posturing, you know, fight. But you know, I think that's what you see in high IQ fights, and it's all about the excitement in that. It's like who's gonna look like, you know, like this is pretty much pound for pound right here, you know, and I mean, I wasn't a big fan of it, but now I'm starting to like it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
so just in case, because it sounded like, hey, go give him hell. It sounded like Dream started it going in the direction that I wanted to take it in, but I think he sort of, lost the plot, right?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah, we ended up to talking about how Bernie the Boxer wants to hype up this fight. I don't think it necessarily is about that.
I
I
think that's
think,
how it started. That's how
yeah,
all this
well,
started.
it starts with the fact that when you're trying to win a fight, right? You have to find a sparring partner similar to the guy that you're going to be faced against, right? So Terrence Bud Crawford is a very unique individual. He really is. He's a switch hitting uh, fighter that's very well rounded, has great footwork, has great physical dimensions for his height and his weight. He has very good power. He has very good knockout instincts, the killer instincts, if you would. He's this individual that can do a lot of very good things, right? He has very good reflexes, very good speed. He's a very good fighter, very good aggressive boxer, counter puncher, timing, everything. So when you're trying to fight somebody like that, right, it's going to be very hard because not a lot of people can emulate the style of Terrence Pitt Crawford, right?
Mm.
Some people can say you got to go back to, I don't know, maybe Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns,
Who?
not people would say that that's
Oh,
more
oh,
akin of how Terrence Bud Crawford is. Maybe he's as dominant a boxer as Money Mayweather, right? But we're comparing him to some of the greatest of all time. This is Terrence Bud Crawford, and remember, I just went through this whole rant about why Terrence Bud Crawford has never gotten this respect, why the boxing world has never admired him for his prowess, his accomplishments, even though he has been very dominant and very skillful because he doesn't have the names on his resume, right? But for
mm.
all intents and purposes, this guy is the greatest fighter currently living. Now, how
Who?
does Canelo prepare for somebody like that? How does Canelo prepare for somebody like Terrence Bud Crawford? Well, you're gonna have to find somebody that fights very similar to him. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, he ended up finding Jerron Boots Ennis, right? A guy that people do find some similarities to Terrence Bud Crawford,
Mm.
with the exception, of course, that if you think Terrence Bud Crawford's career, his resume is lackluster, man, when you compare him to Boots Ennis, Boots Ennis is like, bro, nothing. Like Boots Ennis is like, he's never done nothing in his life, if you think about it,
Well,
right? So,
yeah. Well, you
but again, Canelo is having to go based off the eye test. How do I fight somebody like Terrence Bud Crawford? Well, I have to find somebody that fights similar like that. So what do you go based off? The eye test. Now, Boots Ennis has very similar dimensions to Terrence Bud Crawford. I think he might even be taller. Right, I think he might even be taller. So that means that if Canelo reaches for the sky and he fights somebody that's very similar to Crawford, just bigger, then he's already preparing himself for somebody bigger than Terrence Bud Crawford. In other words, when he faces Terrence Bud Crawford, depending on what the strategy is of Bud going in there on the ring, he should be used to getting touched up by very strong, skillful, taller, rangier men than Bud. So that when he faces Bud, he looks much smaller, right? Now, he picked Jerron Ennis because he is trying to find somebody that will emulate Bud's, you know, style. Now, I think that's a great move. I think a lot of people are very intimidated about the move itself, especially the pro Bud boxing fans and a lot of black fighting fans, right? Let's admit it. You mentioned it earlier on. Boxing is divided by the fan base primarily on matters of race. Well, I would say first nationality and then race, right? But we would be ignorant to say and deny that blacks, whites, Mexicans, Browns, Russians, they all cheer on their own, and everybody else is goes against somebody from their own skin color or their nationality is the person that they're gonna root against, right?
well,
So,
get this. Yeah, get this. The one of
mm,
the one of the most like unique like matchups, right? Like as far as like race, like what's his name? Caleb Plant.
I agree with you, DMG. I think Crawford is. I think he's overrated because he doesn't have the name recognition, and then somebody like Medrimov comes around with less than 10 fights and he makes him look like that. So, in other words, yeah, I see your point. I see your point. I'm sorry about that, Dream. Continue.
Nah, it's fine. I had to think of what I was gonna say. But like the dude Caleb Plant, that remember the Caleb Plant versus Trevor McCumbee? That was actually like that one actually garnered a lot of the attention, bro, because you rarely see like that like white on white action, you know. And
Hmm.
people were actually like interested, like out of like nowhere. You know, I was like, what the hell, like, you know, like why aren't we giving like the Mexicans like that we don't know that much attention, you know? And it's just
Hmm.
um it's because yeah, the race does sell, bro. So um and they're actually like it's okay for people to actually pick their own their own people. And um yeah, and it's fine, bro. Like I hear that all the time, like, yeah, I'm picking him because he's a brother, I'm going for him. I
Yeah.
remember because I used to have I have I used to have a black grandpa, right? um
Whoa, 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 whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa! Before you go on, how do you used to have a black grandpa,
because he
bro?
passed away.
Oh, okay. My
um
condolences, bro.
yeah, he passed away. um yeah, rest in peace, Grandpa RB.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
Rest in
um
peace.
he passed away. But anyways, he used to say like, "Oh, I'm going for the brother," like he used to say that all the time. "Yeah, I'm going for the brother." Yep. He's like, "Which one?" "Oh yeah, I'm going for the brother." Like it didn't matter if it was French. It didn't matter if it was French, German. Like he was always going for the black. So it's like it's fine, bro. Like I literally hear that. I used to hear that all the time. So you can be
No,
tribal.
and I get it, and I think that's where a lot of this code switching, staying on code thing comes from, right? Black folk have always called each other brother, brother, actually, brother. But brother. They're trying to connect to people that are like their own, right? Like themselves, right? And of course, because they're a minority and their numbers are low, and because their struggles are very similar and their histories have been similarly affected, they try to develop a bond with their fellow kinfolk, their fellow black folk, right? In order to make their life a little easier to navigate, to make friends, to develop a bond that can lead to some reinforcement and strength as a community. I get that. It comes from the way you speak to others. You call him brother, right? So I get that. But what I'm saying is, in the Mexican community, we talk a big one. We talk in the Mexican Chicano, Mexican American community, we talk a big one. We say we're about la raza. We say that we're this, we're that, but we're, for the most part, our own worst enemies, right? Like black folk have made truces between the Crips and the Bloods in prison. They don't fight each other. The white folk, the Aryan Brotherhood, whatever, all of those guys have a truce. You know who doesn't? For the most part, Mexicans. And even though I think they do right now, I think the red gang and the blue gang has now, like, set apart their differences in order to make quote unquote business. They still kill each other, right? The red kill the reds, the blues kill the blues, but they don't kill other colored people, right? You would think if they're brothers, they would unite to attack people that are different than them, right? So the black people are trying to find some way to unite. The brown people are okay with hating themselves. And I think that's the reason why when we hear people like Bernie the boxer and Timothy Bradley, I'm going to play you a video right now. Timothy Bradley talk about code switching, betraying their people. It sounds very strange to us because we talk the same things, we say the same things, but we never live up to it. Now, Dream, I'm gonna play you. I'm gonna first off just to
Well,
confirm, right?
you also got to know that Tim Bradley was is on is Team Crawford, bro. Like everyone knows
Yeah,
he's Team Crawford, and he rocks with Crawford like he's almost like in his corner, bro. So like he used to spar him all the time. Like that's his boy, bro. So
of course,
you
of
also
course.
got to
Look,
know you
just a
also got to know the biasness.
bro, just a couple of months ago on the Ring magazine, this is what Tim Bradley said. He said Terrence Bud Crawford will beat the out of Canelo Alvarez. This was
Damn,
Desert Storm, bro. He
bro. That's
actually
what,
said that. This is
dude.
what he said.
James
This,
Tony. James Tony said, "Oh, trust me, he's gonna beat the shit out of Canelo." And I was
hmm.
like, "Damn!" He's like, "Trust me, trust me." I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
"Damn." Makes me want to bet, But yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. This is what he said. Something told me to study Canelo and study Crawford. This was 8 months ago. Crawford is about to beat the out of Canelo Alvarez. I'm letting you all know right now, he's about to beat the brakes off Canelo Alvarez. Yes, he is. That's what he just said, bro. He just said that just 8 months ago. And this is what he most recently stated, bro. Listen, I'm going to play this video for you. I hope it comes through across very well. This is what Tim Bradley had to say.
Yeah, I'm in parking lots, man. See, I be making me furious sometimes. Some of y'all comments, man. This is war. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo. This is war. In war, we need intelligence. We need inside information. That's what we need. You don't remember when Mayweather's getting ready to fight against Manny Pacquiao? Who did he hire? He hired Alex Ariza. You don't remember? You don't remember the informant that gave Mayweather? Yeah, Mayweather some information about Canelo years ago. Man, it's part of the strategy. You want all the information you can get. I don't want to hear nothing about what anybody got to say. Talking about, hey, Tim, you don't know what you're talking about. Man, get that information. It's information. That information somehow. Crawford Camp and anybody else involved with Crawford's team. Yeah, because that's intel that you can use to help you get in that fight. That's not a sign of weakness, in my opinion. That's a sign of wisdom. Real wisdom. Wisdom. Shoot, got me stuttering again.
So, okay. So, what Tim Bradley is saying, right? So, see, this is a bit different to what Bernie the Boxer is saying. Bernie the Boxer is basically trying to insinuate that Jerome Boots Ennis, by working with Canelo, is a coon, right? A person that betrays his own black folk, right? In order to benefit a person that's white. Because that's what Canelo is, right? He's white. He's so white, he's got freckles. His hair is red, right? He's pale, like if he needs iron pills, right? So Bernie the Boxer is accusing Jerron Boots Ennis of betraying his people, as if and betraying especially Terence Bud Crawford by working with Terence Bud Crawford's foe, right? Bro, as if Jerron Ennis had any loyalty to Bud, as if Bud and Boots are friends. Think about it. In fact, just about 2 years ago, the news of that those months back then was that both of these two undefeated fighters, they are obviously some of the better fighters according to the eye test. They needed a fight. They were gonna work out a deal between Boots and Crawford to fight for one of Crawford's belts, and in fact, still undisputed, I believe, undisputed 147 belts back then. It never happened, right? Now, in light of that, you have to ask yourself: does Boots Ennis know Terence Bud Crawford, and is that the reason why they never fought? Like, in other words, do they actually have some kind of friendship, some kind of code that they have between themselves, right? Because why did that fight fall through? And is why is Timothy Bradley suggesting that Boots Ennis may be a spy for Crawford? See, here's the thing. Bernie is saying that Boots is a coon for working with a Mexican betraying Bud Crawford. In other words, he's going against blacks, and he's a black himself. But yet, Tim Bradley says something different. He goes, "Man, you guys are thinking checkers.
bro,
Boots Ennis is thinking chess. He is dealing with Canelo,
bro.
taking information from the sparring session between him and his brother, because both of them, I think Canelo is sparring with both of them.
That's what I was gonna
He's
say. His brother
he's
sparred Canelo.
Yeah,
Like
he
with
sparred
that.
Canelo since years before. He's
Yeah,
been sparring him since like 2022, right? So this is nothing new. This is the Ennis and the Canelo Alvarez camp have been working together for many years, right? But
yeah.
but but the thing is this: Bradley is insinuating that Boots is gathering information that he could relate to Terence Bud Crawford at the right price. That's what he's insinuating. Now, if that's the case, bro, If that's the case, it works both ways, right? Because the only guy who comes out on top of any of that is Boots, because is going to fight both of them. And like if Boots can actually go up to to other divisions, he's learning from one of the
True.
best pound per pound fighters in the world, Alvarez, and at the same time he's taking that information in order to one day fight Boots if that fight ever pans out. But at the same time, he can actually take the sparring session from Alvarez and sell the info to Crawford and vice versa, bro. It's a genius tactic that this is what Bradley is saying. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there is any relationship between Boots Ennis and Bud Crawford, but
They're unfamiliar with each other, bro. Like they don't
they're
know each other like that.
well, do they or do they not?
They don't. They don't know each other.
Hmm.
Like they don't know each other. That like they're not even like connected. Like they're just from a different era, bro. Like Crawford's like hella old compared to him, bro. Like he's like younger than me. Boots is. So he's like Via's age, bro. Like so he's closer to 30 though. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying uh he's he's like from like he knows like probably a different group of people or something. Because I know like as all these amateurs, they all know each other at a certain level. Once you get to a certain level, you see each other like every month, because you're always running into each other at all these like regional tournaments and stuff like that. So like Ruben Villa knows Boots from like them seeing each other so much in those tournaments. They actually won Golden Gloves like the same year, like him and Tio. So all those guys like know each other. But yeah, bro. So to me, it's like they all know you have all these like relationships, but it's like, what's G code? Like, what's all that code stuff? Like I don't really like get it, bro. Like, cause I don't know. Like, what's his name? Was sparring him, his brother Derek Ennis or something like that, and
Yeah,
so
Derek.
yeah, Derek. Yeah, so he was sparring him when he was getting ready for the James Kirkland fight. So was he being disloyal to James Kirkland? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yes, that's okay. So that's what I'm trying to get at, right? A loyalty in the sport of boxing. Is there such thing, bro? See, here's the thing, right? A few years back, the Charlos, the twin Charlos, they were obviously sparring partners with Arislandi Lara and, of course, Errol Spence Jr. All four of those black guys, because even though Lara is Latino, he's black, right? Um,
Who?
they were all working together. That was a hell of a stable, by the way, man. Like, bro, you have two twins that were champions at 160 and one became undisputed at 154. You had Errol Spence Jr., who almost became undisputed at 147. And then you had Erislandi Lara, who put up a heck of a fight against Angulo, against Alvarez. He's still a belt holder at 160. It's incredible, right? But nonetheless, there was talks about the Charlos fighting Erislandi Lara or the Charlos fighting Errol Spence Jr. And of course, because they're in the same stable, there's some conflict of interest. You have Derek James having to train all of them. So who's he going to side with? Is he going to abandon one guy to take the other one? What's his loyalty? Right. So it comes to the point where somebody has to leave. And in reality, one of the Charlos ended up leaving, right? Ended up leaving Derek James in order to train with another trainer because of the potential that one day he might have to fight a stablemate such as Everslandi Lara, even though everybody knows that Everslandi Lara was putting hands on both of the Charlos, right? And on Spence too, according to the rumors, but still, right? So what I'm trying to get at is this. There are situations where the conflict of interest is so telling, is so drastic that there is no possibility that you can fight those guys. But otherwise, you're not supposed to think that you have friends in the sport of boxing. Listen, if they lace up the gloves, they're your enemy, bro. If they're around your weight class and they could, in a fight with them, could lead to a belt or money, they're your opponent, bro. And I hate to think like these people like Bernie, who assumes that all blacks should hang out together and be friends, right?
Yeah,
That the
bro. Like,
Mexicans should hang out with each other and become like this block of fighters that refuse to fight each other in order to only fight opposing races. That's ridiculous, bro.
yeah,
That's not how we're gonna get the best fights out there.
like we're in like in the prison yard or something. You know, like come on,
Yeah,
bro.
they're
Like,
thinking prison politics. You're right, bro.
yeah. So it's like, dude, what are you talking about, bro? So it's just kind of dumb, bro. Like, what was he selling out? Like, there's so many categories, bro. Like that you can go. Like, what about blacks in the UK? You know, there's blacks in the UK. Are they supposed to have this relationship with you now? Like, you know, there's blacks everywhere, bro. Like, what you talking about? You know, boxing is not just there's blacks in Mexico,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know so,
yeah, true.
like come on, man, like what are we talking about? Like you're just come on, so it's just trying to sell the fight, bro. Like he wasn't even giving no context. He was just like, I'm not gonna say anything. Like I'm just gonna say you sold out. You sold out. Like, it's just like what? Like, can you like give me more context? Like we like like your argument? Like I don't know. You're just being kind of blurry and just kind of stirring up shit. So that's what he did, and or just at least like on these podcasts.
Wait,
Like
wait.
that's
So, in other words, you really don't think that he meant anything by it, right? Like, you really don't think he was really trying to insinuate that Boots Ennis is a coon. You don't think he was really trying to
yeah, yeah,
offend
yeah.
him.
Like pretty much what he was saying. Like he was pretty much saying like, oh, you're not backing up. You're black. Like you're not even supposed. He's like, you just could have said no. You could have said no. It's just like no. Why would I want to say no? Why would I want to say no? Like, what about my like his older brother? Like, he's dumb or what? Like he's supposed like you're talking about like something like his brother did as well. You know, like they have a relationship going already. You know,
These are the exact words of Bernie the Boxer, guys. You guys tell me what kind of impression do you guys get when you hear this man speak like this?
Like I say, boy, everybody got a price, man, and I guess Boots, he had his price. I don't know what he getting, but
oh, he's rich already.
he sold out. That's all I can say. He
He's
Yeah.
rich
sold out.
already.
Now I don't. Hey,
He's rich,
I'm
right?
just gonna state the fact. He sold out. That's it. He sold out. That's it. You know what I mean? And like I say, I don't knock Canelo, but come on, you could say graciously, nah, I'm out of training, or I'm doing this, or I'm. Yeah, you ain't got to tell him hell no.
Was he training?
Tell
No.
him in a gracious way.
No,
He's
he
like,
has
Tell him
no
in a
fight
gracious
coming
way.
up.
yeah.
Appreciate the offer, but I ain't no sparring
Well,
partner.
was he supposed to lie for you?
Anything. But nah, here he go. Smiling, giggling, taking pictures. All right. So listen.
Bro.
So it's so stupid, bro.
Yeah.
It's like,
Ignorant.
imagine Boots Ennis. Canelo Alvarez walks into your gym, right? His entourage and everything, and everybody goes like, "Whoa, that's Canelo." And Canelo says, "Hey, Jaron, I have this fight coming up. Terrence Better Crawford. Obviously, you've heard about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to spar you and in preparation for that fight. Are you down for it, bro? It would be the honor. You'd be like, what? You think I'm good enough to prepare for one of the best fighters in the world? Yes, that's why I'm here for you, bro. It would be my honor. That's Jerome Boots Ennis, right? That's the way that I would see it. I would be like, Canelo, bro. Thank you very much for this honor. Thank you very much for thinking that I'm a good sparring partner to prepare you for this guy, one of the best fighters in the world. What people say, the best fighter currently. I appreciate that. This is the way that I believe Jerome Butsenis would approach the situation. I don't think he'd be like, yeah, 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 bro, yeah, yeah, listen, yeah, f my black folk, f this black dude. I hate my own people. I don't get that impression at all. This guy is a clown, bro, and he's getting paid for it, right? And the Canelo has already had a bond, a business relationship with his brother. Why wouldn't he want to test himself against Jerome Boots and say, here we go to see what else he has to say.
We gonna whip two asses that night. Canelo's and his. Okay? Canelo's and his.
Now, one thing I will say about Bernie the Boxer, right, is that as we're hearing him, he's burping. Like he's covering his mouth, bro. Look, I'm gonna play it right now. Look, listen to him burp.
We gonna whoop two asses that night. Canelo's and his. Okay?
There you go. Burp, burp,
Canelo's and his. All right.
burp.
That is
So this Bernie the Boxer, bro. Look, I'm not gonna be too harsh on the guy, right? Because it sounds like he was burping, and the only time that I've ever burped was when I was drinking, right? Something tells me this guy was drunk and somebody caught him on the hot mic, right? This guy was talking out of his ass, drunk, thinking he was saying some clever stuff, thinking he was being some kind of like Key and Peele funny. He wasn't, right? I do think that he resents Boots Ennis for working with the white man. I really do think that. I really do think that he is trying to take to try to this on the Boots Ennis. I really do think that, but I think it's nonsense. I think it's nonsense that Bernie would think that Jerron would be like, "Oh no, no, no! I have a loyalty to my black people." Bro, how many black people has Boots Ennis beaten up? Like I'm sure that at least half of his fights are against black dudes, bro. So why would we think? And in fact, that's a very illogical and faulty way of looking at the world, right? If we start thinking that way, bro, then some of the better fights won't happen. Some Mexicans will fight Mexicans, blacks won't fight blacks. I think it's ridiculous, bro. I think it's incredible nonsense. This kind of thinking that blacks have to stick to code, right? In athletics and in competition could be very detrimental to the sport. Mexicans stick to code. Mexicans, only Mexicans. Remember, Canelo was accused of being that way. Canelo has been accused of by the boxing world of saying he refuses to fight other Mexicans. He wants a Mexican to be the next pound for pound superstar in the sport of boxing. So and they ridiculed him for that. And how come Bernie, the boxer, and to tell you the truth, Bernie the boxer represents Bud Crawford because he's very close to Bud. How come nobody's taking out Bud for having his mouthpiece? They got another black man like that. Why do black people bring down black people? Why do brown people bring down brown people? Well, because that's competition, bro. That's the nature of competition. There is no loyalties, bro. That's my take right there, bro. I don't know what you think, but I think it's I think it's a very unreasonable way of thinking. Well, Dream. So I wanted to bring up a couple of things with you. Are you
Oh,
pooping,
dude,
bro?
my bad, dude. Shoot, I
You want
was
to talk
trying to
about
talk.
yourself?
I was trying to talk this whole time, bro.
Yeah,
I
you
was
put
on
your
mute.
stuff on mute. You were peeing, bro. Come on, just admit you
Nah,
were peeing.
nah. Okay, so, um, yeah, no, I mean, like he was just trying to build a fight, bro. Like that's just all. That's all it is, and that's exactly what he did, bro. Like he did it. It's gonna do it on its own, though. Like that's just the nature of it, bro. Like that's just the nature of the fight.
But
The
wait, wait,
fight.
wait. So what's Bernie's gain from it by hyping up the fight? What nobody's paying him to do any of this. So why would he be interested in doing all of that? Why
Just
would
wants
he be
attention.
interested in? Huh?
Wants attention. Not
Oh,
enough
okay.
attention.
So he's a cloud chaser.
Yeah, he's a cloud chaser, and that's
Yeah,
what
I
hype
agree.
men are. And he stirred up the pot, bro. Like I mean, there's nothing going on with this fight, bro. It's just there's not enough headlines in this fight. There should have been more. Um,
What are you talking about, bro?
no. It's gonna be a big fight though. It's gonna
Man,
be, no, but I'm just saying like I guess there is, but it's just uh and yeah, there is gonna be like barbecues and shit like that. So this fight's gonna be like a pretty big fight, bro. So it's gonna do it on its own, on its own, like type of thing. So
true,
people
true.
already like
So
already
just to
kind
wrap
of
up that just to wrap up that bit of conversation, guys, just googled it real quick because I don't know nothing about sticking a code, bro. Like, right? I'm just trying to find out what this all means, right? But I guess sticking to code means something to the effect of you supporting and uplifting other people that are of your own, right? Like if you're black, you support and uplift other black folk. or another way of putting it is you stick together, right? So I guess that's sticking to code, right? Um, Look, in boxing, I don't think you can stick together, right? The best way to stick together is you're in the camp, bro. You're in the same stable of fighters being trained at the same trainer, and that's when you don't fight. Under no conditions should you ever fight, right? It doesn't make any kind of sense, bro, for you to fight anybody from your home stable mates. It doesn't make sense, right? But otherwise, if they're from across the street, if they're from your city, if they're your cousin, but he goes to another gym, you got to beat him up, bro. You're an American, and your opponent is President Donald Trump. You're gonna have to fight him, bro, because this is your job. It's the sport of boxing. So this sticking together, uplift your own according to skin color, that's ridiculous. Look, in fact, if that's the case, Bernie the boxer was bringing down another black man when he was accusing him of having a price, of selling himself, of not sticking a code. In other words, of not uplifting his own people. Bro, we don't know what Boots is gonna do with that money. Maybe he's gonna open up a gym for inner city youth over there in Philadelphia. What's wrong with you guys? Like ridiculous, right? Anyways, I just found it to be very very interesting, bro. I thought it was a bit childish and ridiculous that a grown man, a boxer, he calls himself, Bernie the boxer, would think like that, bro. Whatever, right?
Yeah, no, it's just yeah, like it's to me, I'm not biting it. I'm not biting the bait. It's just think how you feel, bro. Like that, like people, it's okay for people to go for their own, you know, and it's
Or
in
go
this
against them.
yeah, and in this yeah, exactly, and in this case, um, I mean, like I'm more of a boxing fan, bro. Like I see Pat. I don't see that like black versus white. I see your skills and who you are as a fighter when it comes
Hmm.
down to boxing. I'm
Hmm.
just judging it from there.
Yep.
But so yeah, that's how I'm gonna continue to judge it. Because that there ain't no such thing as I hear the term slick black fighter. It's like nah, dude. Like it's there's like it's slick style. It's a slick style. It's not because they're black though. It's like it's just not a style. It's just there's white complected fighters that are actually like slick as well.
Hmm.
And it's just weird those terms. Like just I don't know. I've seen people like kill the narrative. Like, what about Caleb Plant? Slick white fighter. That's a slick white fighter right there. That's a slick
Oh
white fighter.
man,
So
that's a good one, bro.
so it's just, but it's always gonna sell, bro. Like Caleb Plant is unique though. Like he's able to fight. Yeah, I guess I see why they call it because I was about to say like fight like a black fighter. But
Yeah.
he really just
Well, it really
broke that
depends,
barrier.
right? Well, modern black
He could be, but
trainers have
I'm
really
saying,
focused on defense, yeah. But if we're
but I'm
talking
saying
about the
Caleb.
80s or 90s or 70s, no way, bro. Like,
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But I'm saying Caleb Plant is like the first like white fighter I remember like besides the heavyweight division, um, to like really like uh and from America to really like dominate in his division at 168. Until he ran into like um
Canelo.
yeah, yeah, until he ran into Canelo.
For real,
Yeah, yeah, man. So
yeah, I like Caleb Plant. He's cool. He drives around in lowriders. That my kind of guy, bro. My kind of guy.
yeah, I'm gonna check the odds, bro. I'm gonna check the odds for the upset.
Let me. Have you been following the news
What
about
news?
Virgil Ortiz and Sanders Sayas going back and forth, even though they're not going to be fighting next?
I read that long paragraph, but I kind of stopped like keeping up with this. All right, you guys gonna fight or not? But they're gonna fight somebody else, I guess, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody's accusing Virgil of ducking him because I guess Golden Boy offered a 50-50 per split to Sander Sayas to take place in Las Vegas or somewhere, right? And he gave him 3 days to respond. Take it or leave it, basically. Whatever the offer is, take it or leave it. And Sander Sayas' team said, well, obviously they're probably thinking more like, well, first off, we need more than 3 days, bro. Like, why put in an ultimatum if you want? And this is the first phase of negotiations. First, we have to, talk about it, right? So Sander Sayas countered and he said, well, come on, bro, let's do it, but let's do it over there here in Puerto Rico. I'm the champion at the end of the day, right? So then that brought up a couple of very interesting questions, right? First off, both of these guys have headlined their own shows. None of them have been big shows, but I know Sander Sayas has headlined a couple of times in New York. I know that Virgil Ortiz has headlined, I think in Vegas against Bohachuk, and I think he was the co-main in Texas. I forget when, right? But you have to ask yourself, who is supposed to present the offer? Is it supposed to be the challenger? Or is it supposed to be the champion, right? Because when we think about the sport of boxing, we think about the champion for the most part should be the A side, right? Because once you're a champion, you're supposed to get better fights that pay more money, right? Because you're the champion. The belt gives you a prestige that you can sell to the average boxing fan and say, hey, come and watch me because this fight matters. This fight is for history. And yet, we know that the 27-year-old Virgil Ortiz does not hold the belt. He's never held the belt. He's not the champion. But Virgil Ortiz and his camp are offering the champion, Xander Sayas, money in order to fight the guy. Dream, let me ask you something. Who's the A side in that? And who's supposed to offer who money?
Who's the A side to what?
Virgil Ortiz and Xander Sayas. What are we talking
Oh,
about?
oh. Um, I would say, what's his name? Xander. No, because he's the guy with the belt. So he's really the guy that makes it kind of work. Like make it all worth it. He's the reason why he's making it worth it. So um, yeah, I would say Xander Zayas, bro, and he's also like the one that's like calling him out, saying, "Let's fight in Puerto Rico." Like they could literally make the fight happen, but uh, Oscar is not letting that happen. So uh, he wants it on his terms. As far as Oscar, he wants it on his terms, but um, what's his name? Xander's not gonna get um, let he's not gonna fight somebody else, bro, outside of his own promotional company.
No,
Like,
that is a very interesting situation. All right. The champion, he has the belt and he
whoa, whoa,
has
whoa, whoa,
options,
whoa.
right?
Virgil's
Well,
fighting. Virgil's fighting Lubin.
yeah, which is a way better fight than any of Xander Zayas' opponent right now.
Dude, yeah. So it's Virgil. Virgil's clearly not. I mean, it's.
He's not
I don't
ducking
know.
him, bro. He's
He's
not
not
ducking him.
ducking him. He's not ducking him, bro. Like
He's
when,
never,
when
bro. Look at the
he's
resume
not
of
ducking him.
Virgil.
Exactly. So it's like, dude, look at who he's fighting right now. It's Xander. Xander's ducking. Uh, but at the same time, how it is in top rank, bro. Like they don't really fuck with anyone outside of their, you know, of their own
Yeah,
like
they don't
promotion.
travel out, bro. They
Yeah, they
call the
don't.
shots.
Like they had to be offered like a ton of money. Like they had to get paid, for that, crossover. They
Mm,
like
that's like
maybe
the
like a
PBC.
turkey. Yeah, like a turkey, bro. Maybe like a turkey, um, or an MVP.
Turk makes everybody crossover.
Yeah, or maybe like a MVP promotion fight. I mean,
Ah.
but that's it has to be turkey, to really like break the bank like that.
Yeah,
But
so it's a very interesting. It is very interesting situation. Dream. You have the champion, who, for all intents and purposes, again, the belt gives you prestige. The prestige should offer you opportunities to get paid better because you can sell the fights better. And we also know that Xander Sayas, as the champion, has headlined in Las Vegas. I mean, not
Yeah,
in Las Vegas, in New York, a couple of times, and he can also take his fight to the island of Puerto Rico. Right, the Puerto Ricans really support each other. I think he has those two venues that he can definitely exploit. But yet, Virgil Ortiz, we're talking about, he has already headlined, and he's headlined in Vegas, and he can take his fight to Texas, and Texas is a way bigger state than Puerto Rico. So it's a very interesting situation, right? Because you have to ask yourself, well, which venue is better? And you also have to ask yourself again. You just going back to the question: should Xander Sayas offer Virgil Ortiz to participate as the champion? Right? Should Top Rank ask Virgil, hey, bro, I want you to cross over, come over here and fight for this? And if so, how come Virgil has not received an offer from Xander Sayas? Right? And how disrespectful is it that Virgil Ortiz is offering the champion money to fight him under his terms? That should be very humiliating, bro. In fact, if somebody was to offer me something like that, me being the champion, I would counter that by a bigger offer and say, you know what? I find it to be offensive that I'm the champion and you're offering me a purse, telling me how much you're gonna split with me, and telling me where you're gonna want me to fight at. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm the champion. We fight where I say. I offer you money. How come Sanders Sayas hasn't offered anything?
because he's tied up with it's like it's like in a contract dispute, not dispute, but his contract's getting in the way of that, bro. Like he's got to get the green light from Bob or someone up there, you know.
But right now is the perfect moment, bro, because Top Rank has no home. Right now, anybody that wants to offer Top Rank fighter a fight at anywhere, as long as the money is good, Bob Arum will take it, bro, because they
I think
haven't.
that's I think that's what's going on though. Like it's bigger than because yeah, it's bigger than that. You know, like there's not it's not just Xander that's tied up in that situation. It's also like Jared Anderson. He's frustrated with Top Rank, and he's like not, you know, he's like turning down fights, you know. So like he was like in the fight, gonna get in the fight with the big baby, the Drell Miller, but he ended up
Did he duck that fight, bro?
yeah, he ended up dropping out of that fight, and then
Oh
so,
my
but
God,
it has to
he
do
dropped
with
out of turkey money.
yeah, but it has to do with Bob Arum,
Wow.
you know, with like Top Rank, you know, like they're trying to find a home, you know, so
I
they don't
think,
have a home.
yeah,
It's not
but
just
but
them, bro. Like it's not just them, bro. Like it's like other fighters too. Like they're waiting for their opportunity, but they're
mhm.
like tied up right now because they can't do shit right now. You know, like they can't. You know, Bob has to give them the green light. You know, but and Turkey has to like break the bank to give them that. You know, because they have to get their pay. Top Rank. You know, whenever they get their fighters to fight on another network or yeah network, they had to get their share. You know, so they have a price, and they you know Turkey has to break the bank. Like you have to pay like twice. You know, to actually get them to fight. You know, so
I think, yeah. So I think, see, here's the thing. Mr. Bob Arum is one of the most wisest, most astute, business savvy individuals in the sport. Top Rank has been around for 50 years, bro. Right? They're the best promoter, the most consistent one. They've always been. They produce some of the best fighters. They have some of the greatest matchmakers of all. Right? So they know that they can bounce back. They know that the Top Rank banner, the name, the logo, carries boxing significance. Right? Now, right now is an opportunity for Mr. Bob Arum, for any of the people that want to fight a top ranked fighter, to offer them something, right? Because again, they cannot go too long without finding a home to display their talent in. You have to keep these fighters active. The less active they are, the more they become embittered. They're gonna become, you know, bitter, angry, and then most importantly, they're gonna become stagnant in their development, right? So a boxer that's just idle is going to set himself up for a loss soon enough. So top rank Mr. Bob Arum has to find these guys a home in order to put him up to fights. Right now is where Turkey should offer these guys fights, bro. He should be, and of course he already did with Brian Norman and Devin Haney. He set him up for a fight. Maybe he should get Giovanni Santillan. Maybe he should get, I don't know, Chop Chop Gonzalez, Steven Navarro. Those guys on the cheap, right? Because he can. He could put up some great fights with those guys, and I think even Eddie Hearn can offer some of these guys some crossover money. Come over here, we'll keep you busy, make it worth your money, and I think everybody could be wise and doing so, right? But I think Xander Sayas has to, at this moment, Xander Sayas would have to bow down to the demands of Golden Boy and Virgil Ortiz. Obviously, not now because they already signed to fight Lubin. But for the most part, next time that comes up, you best believe that if we don't have a good place for top rank to promote these guys and make their names bigger, it won't matter if Xander Sayas has a belt. If nobody's watching, it's not going to be a big fight. Here's the thing: these are the rumors, Dream. These are the rumors of who Top Rank might go to now that ESPN is no longer renewing their contract, right? HBO Max, right? Let me ask you something, bro. HBO. When you think about HBO, do you think about boxing?
Uh, yeah, I see. Like, I think about like the graphics, like when you first see when you see Tell of the Tape, you know, and and you see like all their the what do you call it? Like the old school like pictures and all that, and it's just and it brings back memories, you know, like because I used to play Fight Night, you know, so all those pretty much most of those fighters were like on those games, and they just like pretty much came to life, you know, because yeah, to me that's how I kind of got familiar with names that I probably would never even remember, you know, because if I play that game, I'll be like, oh shit, I remember this fighter, I remember, you know, like it's gonna bring back memories, you know. Like even when I look back on box rec names, like some of the names, I'm like, man, I feel like I've read that name, you know, type of thing. But yeah, so I think of like the old school fighters, you know. So
True, true, true. No, no, no. And actually, you know what? I phrased that wrong. Uh, I should have said when you think about HBO, do you think about boxing? You're like, of course, you dummy. Of course, I think that, right? I mean, HBO
yeah,
have
and
been
that's
the
all I
home
think
of
about. Yeah.
it have been the home of boxing forever. But I meant to say when you think of an app like
I used to
Max,
think HBO. I used to think HBO was boxing. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah, and
I,
to tell you the
I
truth, it was, bro.
like I used to think it was that, but then I found out it was actually like for movies and stuff like that. You know.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at, right? In the absence of HBO from the sport of boxing and almost close to I don't know, 8 years, closer to a decade now, you really do think of HBO as a streaming service, right? Because it's not even, I don't even think it's a channel so much. I mean, I don't have HBO as a channel. I don't even have HBO as an app, bro. And it doesn't even call itself HBO. It's called Max, right? Like, so it's Max is so disassociated with HBO that I wouldn't even make the connection. Hey, do you have the Max app? No. You have the HBO app? Oh yeah, 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 sure, right? Like I think it's so stupid to think that somebody is gonna subscribe to a new service just to watch Top Rank, right? Now this one makes sense. There's rumors that the Zone might pick up some of Top Rank's fights. That makes sense because the Zone is the home of boxing. For better or worse, it's the place that everybody goes to. Matchroom, Queensbury, Storm. You have the Sunderland brothers. You have all of these off-brand boxing, Eye of the Tiger. You have all of these places all gathering together to show boxing on any given Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right? Literally, the Zone is the best place for Top Rank. I
Yeah.
think Top Rank it just doesn't want to cheapen themselves. I think they've always been against being on a app type service, and I'm sure that Top Rank being on ESPN Plus, right? Because ESPN Plus is an app. I think that bothered Bob Arum a lot. I really do think he was against cheapening his product, making it so that you can watch the greatness of boxing in a 9-inch screen. Mr. Bob Arum, he knows the grandeur, the greatness of the sport of boxing, and he knows that it belongs in a television format. It belongs in a channel. It belongs in 100-inch screen TV, not in a handheld device, right? So he always wanted a broadcasting partner. Unfortunately, he stuck with ESPN because at least if it wasn't a broadcasting partner, at least it was a channel dedicated to sports, right? So he made that connection. Now you're going back to HBO, but it doesn't have the letters HBO. It's called Max, and it's an app, bro. That's like the worst deal ever.
Yeah, Axe is an app where you buy all the tickets. That's where you buy. That's what I bought. Where I bought tickets.
Oh no, no, it's called Max.
Oh,
Max,
Max.
Max,
My
Max.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
it's all
Max.
good. Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm not gonna look, bro. Look, I was having a
HBO
conversation
Max.
with
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah. I
Vince.
know what you're talking about. I know what
No,
you're
it's
talking about.
not called HBO Max. It's not called HBO Max. It's called Max.
IMAX.
IMAX.
That's
No,
what
it's just called Max, bro. I mean, we know it's HBO Max, but it's Max. So I was gonna tell you, right? The other day I was having a conversation with Mr. Vince Vargas, and he he keeps reminding me that Top Rank is no longer, that we haven't seen Top Rank fights in over a month now, and there's nothing announced. And he's like, man, I miss ESPN. And the first thing I thought about, bro, thank you for reminding me. I gotta get rid of the Hulu bundle, right? This the channel, Hulu, and ESPN because I don't watch television, bro. I'm always playing baseball. I'm, running around, playing tennis with my daughter, and stuff of that nature. So, what do I need to spend money on an app for that I'm not ever gonna watch? I was only watching ESPN Plus for the boxing. I never watched anything else, bro. Not college football, college baseball, soccer, wrestling, none of that, right? So I have to save myself that money. But but I think the sport, man, it really is changing, bro. There's so many things going on with the sport right now that it's easy to become a cynic, right? And all I could tell Vince is, man, I don't know if I'm gonna subscribe to any other service because I first off, like, are you gonna subscribe to Max, bro, just for top rank? Like, are you gonna subscribe to like, dude? They better go to the Zone, bro. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean the Zone. I mean they also do boxing in TNT, but in the UK. So maybe they can do that. Um, I wouldn't mind. Like I just want them to do their thing again. I mean, it would be cool if they go back to HBO. Not
Hmm.
back. My bad. That used to be PBC. But if they actually, you know, became that, you know, like that would be pretty cool. But you just never know, bro. Like I don't hear any rumors or none of that, bro. But it would be cool unless you heard rumors. Did you? No.
No, no, no.
No, yeah, see, yeah, just me neither. I haven't heard nothing, bro. Like no talks. Like usually you would see a post or like something like in talks of something, but nothing, bro. Like so, I hope they got something cooking up. I haven't even heard anything like on any podcast or anything like that. Like I'm really like curious about that because I do miss the ESPN fights, bro. Like they actually used to have Friday night fights on ESPN, so kind of sucks. They continue just to downgrade themselves throughout the years, and it's just like come on, man, you guys gotta pick it up, you know. So hopefully they have like a like a breakout, you know, like as far as like the no, you know, as far as like the notoriety, because Top Rank has always been here, bro. Like they've always been Top Rank for a while, or like since
Mhm.
I don't know, 80s, 70s. So yeah, man, they gotta keep the ball rolling, bro, because they have so many fighters. I mean, and and it's just such a historical promotional company, bro. Like they gotta, like I'm pretty sure somebody would buy it out before they actually like, you
Went
know,
down, it went
went
out of business.
down. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you would have investors or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they're just too historical, bro. Like they're like the goats, bro. Like as far as a promotion company, like
Hmm.
it's like the goat of boxing, bro. So they seen promotional companies come and go, so they're gonna be here till the end of time, bro. So I don't know. Hopefully they can maybe like Fox or ABC, you know, like honestly, like
That
I
would be a dream, bro. That would be a dream, bro.
right.
If the yeah, bro, the Top Rank deserves a
Fox used to have
broadcast
fights.
partner, national
Fox,
broadcast partner.
Fox used to have boxing.
Yeah, it
Not
did.
too
It
bad,
was
not too long
ESPN.
ago.
Yeah, it was.
No,
No,
Fox.
no, that was PBC.
Oh yeah, PBC used to have them on Fox. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. So
for the
yeah,
2 years.
yeah. So hopefully they can do something like that somewhere where like they're visible, you know, on the channels. I think they're what, channel 35. Nah, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Channel Fox 35. Yeah, get rid of the Simpsons and their what is it called? Predictive programming. and put on and put on and put
It's
on
like they
boxing.
come out,
Get rid of cops, bro. Get rid of cops, bro.
huh?
You know
Yeah,
that show cops, right?
yeah, yeah. Or what's that one with the doctor? What's that one with the doctor?
Oh,
Bones? No,
hmm.
no, that's like a doctor series. I don't know. It's kind of annoying,
Yeah,
but
the mean guy, right? The guy that had
yeah,
a like bone to pick.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
played
what was his name, bro?
he I don't know, but he played in Home Alone as
What?
the villain. He was like the villain, like the tall curly guy, the tall guy.
That's really
That's him. Yeah, he played in the Doctor as a doctor, and he's like the main character now in that movie or in the series. I mean, but I'm pretty sure they don't run anymore. Like they run it, but they don't. It's like they don't make new episodes or you know.
let me see. Fox show
Hey, I'm gonna take a
about
shower, dude. But I'll be right back.
doctor.
All right,
This guy.
all right, I'll be right back.
Hmm. You know, well, this guy goes over there and showers. I don't think that's a shower, guys. Okay, he comes out in like 2 minutes, dudes. Now, in Spanish, there's this thing called a shower a go go. A shower a go go is really basically like you just wet yourself and you just like put water under your armpits. Maybe you get the bar of soap, rub it over your armpits between your butt crack, and then you just dry up, right? That's what you do when you're like in a jiffy, right? Like you're traveling across country and you only have like a bottle of water or so. You just wet your hands with soap and the water, put it on your armpits, put it between your testes so you don't smell bad, and then you go into like Denny's to have breakfast, right? But for the most part, I don't know anybody that can take a 2 minute shower. Something tells me Dream goes over there and takes a dump. Or I don't know. I can believe that a person could take a dump in 2 minutes, but they can't take a shower in 2 minutes. Not a worthwhile shower, right? I mean, not the way that I work. I sweat all kinds. I go, I
Nah, I'm gonna take a shower. I said.
all right, bro, go take a shower, bro. In the meantime, right? In the meantime, while this guy takes a shower, which I think is more like a dump, um, I just wanted to mention, right, that in light of the fact that Jake Paul and Javante Tank Davis have actually made it official that they're going to be fighting each other, I had a conversation with the homie Ricky, and we were going back about Javante Tank Davis and whether this is a big fight or not, and the whoop de whoop blah blah blah, the same stuff that you've heard before. Why lie, right? Everything that has been said about Javante Tank Davis, any topic about it, has already been addressed here and there, except perhaps whether or not he's a good fighter with a good resume. And that's a bit contentious, right? Does Gervonta Tank Davis have a good resume? And I think it goes without saying, guys, Gervonta Tank Davis has an excellent resume. I mean, at least comparable to somebody like Devin Haney or Teofimo Lopez, right? Gervonta Tank Davis has fought very good names, guys. And I think the greatest thing that Gervonta Tank Davis has done is he's been a master at playing the pound for pound game, right? Navigating through different weight classes in order to beat the top guys. He's able to show that he can suck down in weight, to go down, to beat a four belt, not a four belt, but a four division champion. He has proven that he can go up in weight to fight bigger, taller, rangier men. Gervonta Tank Davis, for as many bad things that you can say about him, he has a very good resume, guys. And I think all of that is now at risk of being discredited, all because he's fighting somebody like Jake Paul, right? Now, you guys know what I think about Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul is one of the greatest things to happen in the sport of boxing. No, I say that with a straight smile, with a straight face, guys. I really do. I think Jake Paul has been one of the best things to happen in the sport of boxing. And his influence in the sport has been immediate, right? He is responsible for making some of the biggest, most important fights in the past decade. The most important fight in the sport of boxing, when it comes to the women's side of the sport, he had a big part to play in that. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, one of the most exciting fights that you can see in the past decade. Easily 5 years, guys. Easily 5 years. If you haven't seen the first fight, you guys have to watch that. Serrano versus Taylor won, right? He has encouraged a new generation of fighters to not only take up the sport, but to self promote. He's taught them how to go about doing that. He's taught them how to gain influence, how to get paid, how to develop a fan base. Jake Paul has done that. And I think one of the other greatest things that Jake Paul has done is that he's been able to the path, the career that one must take in order to climb up the ranks and make yourself a fighter that's developing with every single outing. So Jake Paul is the amateur whose career you get to watch as he goes to the top. There's so many things to like about Jake Paul. Now, of course, there's a lot of things to dislike about the guy. And I think that's the reason why his fights sell. People hate Jake Paul for who he is, and they want to see him lose. All right. And Gervonta Tank Davis is in the similar boat. People want to see Gervonta Tank Davis lose. People want to see Gervonta and Jake Paul lose, guys. That's the reason why this fight matters. Because for the most part, this fight does not matter at all, guys. A 135-pound fighter should not be fighting a heavyweight. That's just it, guys. No 135 pounder should be fighting a 230 plus pound fighter. That's just a fact. And when these guys have to fight each other, it means nothing, guys. Gervonta Tank Davis, by beating number 14 ranked WBA Jake Paul, is not going to become a number 14 ranked fighter at heavyweight. That's not the way it happens. Jake Paul beating Gervonta Tank Davis at 135 does not mean Jake Paul is going to have to defend lightweight. So, in other words, what I'm trying to get at, guys, is this fight is a frivolous fight that means absolutely nothing in the sport of boxing. It has no significance besides utter and complete entertainment value, right? We have two fighters that people hate and two fighters that people love equally, right? And they're going to be squaring off. Am I going to watch it? Absolutely, I'm going to watch it. Do I think it means anything to the sport of boxing? No. No. Do I think Gervonta Davis beating Jake Paul is impressive? Nope. Nope. Do I think Jake Paul beating Gervonta is impressive? Absolutely not. Right? Because a 200 and something pound man that's 6 foot should be able to beat up a midget. And at the same time, a midget who's been one of the best fighters for over a decade should be able to beat up a guy who's one of the worst fighters with about 12 fights in his resume historically, right? So it doesn't matter the way you look at it, right? It's either a very valuable offering or it means nothing. And I tend to think at the most, it offers great entertainment value. I'm not going to miss Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis for the world, guys. But here's the thing, because of such fights, people will start discrediting both fighters. They already do. Right? Jake Paul fights old men, washed fighters, crack addicts, and narco uh, members, cartel members, right? Like Jake Paul just fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Okay, yeah, cartel member. That's what he does, bro. He fights has-beens, washed men, and never haves, right? And Gervonta Davis, a lot of people are trying to accuse him of fighting similar class of fighters. No, guys, Gervonta Tank Davis is a very good fighter, right? He fought Frank Martin. He was undefeated. Frank Martin. Who's Frank Martin? Well, I don't know. Ryan Garcia. Who's Ryan Garcia? I don't know. Maybe just this guy who had one knockout power, one of the fastest fighters in the sport of boxing. Great, great potential. Hey, he likes his cocaine or whatever it is that he takes. Hector Luis Garcia, a 130-pound fighter. He beat that guy. He beat Isaac Cruz. Mario Barrios, a legitimate 140-pound fighter who was holding a belt, maybe a interim belt, but he beat that guy. Leo Santa Cruz, guys, he went down to 130. Gervonta did. He weighed down 129 and less in order to fight Leo Santa Cruz, who was then I think he had only lost one fight, and he was a prior four division champion. This is Leo Santa Cruz, guys. He beat a former 3 or 4 division champion in Leo Santa Cruz. That's that's noteworthy, right? Man, sorry about the curse words, guys. My wife is just like man. She speaks like a sailor. Man, look at her. She's like uh, Captain Bluebeard or something with all the bad words. So what I'm trying to get at, guys, Gervonta Tank Davis, he is a master at playing the pound for pound game. It's the definition of a pound for pound fighter. And he has some very good names out there, guys. His resume does not pale in comparison too much to Devin Haney's. The only thing that you can accuse Tank Davis of doing is not fighting Vasily Lomachenko. Oh, well, he didn't fight Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, well, Teofimo Lopez didn't fight him either. He didn't fight Devin Haney. Well, when was he supposed to fight Devin Haney? When Devin Haney had gotten his belt emailed to him? When was he supposed to fight that guy? When did it matter? Now? Maybe now? Yeah, right now it matters. But who is Devin Haney now? Devin Haney now is a shot fighter. A guy who's been shocked and has now become one of the worst developing fighters after losing to one of the worst fighters in the sport of boxing currently, Ryan Garcia. That's crazy, guys. Think about that. Devin Haney is one of the most regressed fighters there is right now, having become an undisputed fighter. And all it took was Ryan Garcia, the worst fighter, in my opinion, one of the worst fighters in the world. Boxers, sorry, boxer, whatever. One of the worst boxers in the world. Toyed and ragdolled Devin Haney. And ever since then, Devin Haney has fought so awkwardly, so unexcitedly, so cautiously that he's just become a bore, right? Devin Haney is a shocked, perhaps shot fighter, guys. And I don't know what it's going to take for him to develop his mojo, get that mojo back. But I don't think we're going to be seeing that. And it's not smart of him to have taken on Brian Norman Jr. Who is Brian Norman Jr., by the way, guys? Brian Norman Jr. is the fighter who is the opposite of Devin Haney. While Devin Haney is regressing, Norman Jr. is improving. He's progressing. Norman is meeting Devin Haney at the moment when Devin Haney's at his worst. Devin Haney, guys, one of the most accomplished, most impressive young men who has one of the best resumes at lightweight. That guy, right, is about to get destroyed by a guy who has no names under his belt. Giovanni Santillán being the best of them. Put your money on Brian Norman Jr., guys. Put your money on Brian Norman Jr. to utterly destroy Devin Haney. I've never stated that before, guys. I'm not a betting man, but I'll tell you one thing. If I had some money, if my wife let me bet the ranch in Madeira, the farm in Madeira, right? I'd bet it. I'd bet it. But she won't let me. I don't know. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've discussed a lot of boxing for the most part.
Yeah.
Recall, you're back, bro. You're back. You were listening the whole time taking a shower, right?
Uh, well, no, I just popped in like 2 minutes ago, but I just wanted to let you finish.
Oh, okay.
No, I just wanted to let you finish that horrible, disgusting.
A rat of yours?
Yeah, I'm just playing. But
No, no, no. It's true, right? I mean, look.
what's true?
When you think about when you think about Gervonta Tank Davis, do you think about he is a pound for pound fighter, one of the best fighters in the world, or do you think he's one of the worst ducks, one of the worst things to happen in the sport of boxing?
Who is Canelo?
No, Gervonta.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Absolutely what? Worst thing for the sport or best thing for the sport?
absolutely. No, I'm just kidding.
Absolutely what?
uh, he's not the worst thing, but he's definitely a
Not a
valuable
good thing.
lesson. A
Right.
valuable lesson to all these promoters. Like don't baby your fighters, or else they're gonna probably grow to be very spoiled. So that's pretty much what happened.
Maybe.
Bro. That's pretty
But
much
there's other ways to look at it. There's other ways to look at it. Baby your fighters because
maybe
you
because
might
you
get him
starve
to.
your fighters. Because of Floyd, you starve your fighters, so that then they end up being bitter, and then now that's what you get, bro. Like you get a stubborn child, bro, who has uh power uh over pretty much you're saying he pretty much takes fights because he's the man. So
So in other words, he does with his career what he wants and
yeah,
screw the fans.
yep.
But you know what this led him to, right? It's led
What?
him to fighting a Jake Paul that's probably going to pay him like around $50 million
Yeah.
for an exhibition, bro. How is that a bad thing? Like, I mean, as far as for the boxing fan, absolutely, Gervonta Davis is bad. For the sport of boxing, as far as legacy creation, that's bad. But as far as what he's doing for himself, that's great, right? I mean, dude, this guy's gonna fight Jake Paul for like $40 million, bro. Like, how is that a bad thing?
Dude, I thought it was gonna be like 100 M's.
Who? Who said that? A black person?
No, I don't know. Hey, that's racist. But
No, no, that sounds like something that was stick on code, bro. Like, oh, uplift your
right,
black brother, right? A black man would say, yeah, 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 Gervonta Tank Davis is gonna make 100 M's, bro. You think Gervonta Tank Davis fighting Jake Paul is worth 100 mil? Like,
nah,
so then what's Jake Paul worth? 200 mil for that fight? Like, you think the whole world
yeah,
of boxing, the whole world and everywhere,
world,
they want to watch that fight?
no.
No, you're still pooping.
Nah.
No,
uh,
no, 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 man. We were just having a conversation with Rick, and he's like, "Bro, like when everybody talks about Javante Tank Davis's career is pretty good, bro.
Tanks.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
his resume, like the fighters that he has, like
yeah,
he
like
he."
he's actually like gone up against some like tough opponents. That I think that Ryan fight, like I know he looked bad in his last fight with Rolly, but the fact
Mhm.
that he beat Devin, it kind of like I guess you can say he beat Devin too. But nah, but I
Yeah,
know
I know. He
but
beat Devin,
but I don't know. It's just that's the way Tank fans are gonna look at it.
bro. It's like this, bro. Look, when people say, "Oh, that didn't age well," right?
Yeah.
Okay, Roddy Romero is a two. He's a unified champion at 147.
Oh yeah. Now he's a
Hey,
147 champ.
that yeah, that aged well for Javante Davis.
Yeah, it did.
Bro, think about that, bro. Like the definition of an email champion
Yeah.
is
Now
Rolando Romero at two divisions. Wait. 47, 40, 35. Bro, three divisions from where he fought Javante Dane Davis. This guy's fighting at 147. I think he only had one fight,
yeah. To me,
and he became unified, bro.
it's the Mara Barrios fight. That means he knocks out Pacquiao. You know, like that's what that means. But that Barrios fight, aged really well because he's really the only one that went up to 147 and fought
Mhm.
opposition. He's got Ugas, bro. So not only does he have like because he's trying to fight Pacquiao. I'm pretty sure he's gonna lock in that Pacquiao fight, bro. Like that's
Mhm.
another big money fight right there. You get an
Mhm.
aged fighter that you're gonna knock out, and you're gonna get a bag. So
Mhm.
I mean, you can't. I can't hate when another man's getting his bag. It's just yeah, it's just like for me, uh, he's not gonna like he's out the way now.
Mhm.
I think I said that a couple months ago. Like just get out the way. Like I want to see who's actually the best. So this is
Bro,
his way. This is his
think
way of
about
getting
it.
out. Well, hold on. This is his way of getting out the way,
Mhm.
and I'm glad he's actually like, you know, I'm glad he can actually like accept the fact that. Well, I mean, he's been saying shit like that, but in the real with attitude. Like he's trying to like say that the fans need him, but it's like, nah, bro, just get out the way of these fighters and let go of your belt and just retire.
Look,
Once you retired, it's like, all right, cool. Now we can let go and not pay attention. We can't. We're not gonna do any fantasy matchups or anything like that. Like we're just gonna leave you alone now, and we're not gonna. We're just gonna let you fizzle out. You know.
look at this, bro. Just look at this, bro. Look at all these fighters that give credit to Gervonta's career. Okay, Leo Santa Cruz, right? When Gervonta Tank Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz, he wanted to bring Leo up to 135,
Mhm.
and we had a show about it on the Homie Ricky podcast of 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know when that was, right? And we were saying, bro, Leo, you cannot let this guy manipulate you, bro. He's coming for your belt. You're a champion at 130. He has a baby belt. You're a real defined belt holding champion, bro. You stick to your guns and you have him come down to 130. Guess what? Gervonta Tank Davis, He ended up bowing down to Leo's demands. He came down to 130 and he beat Leo Santa Cruz. One of the most spectacular knockouts, by the way. Very impressive. When you think about Gervonta Tank Davis's
We
IQ,
remember.
when you think about Gervonta Tank Davis's IQ, all you have to do is look at the fight between him and Leo Santa Cruz, where Leo Santa Cruz was being very successful, bro. He was throwing that 1-2, that jab, the little twitchy arm thingy that he was doing, and he was pretty much beating Gervonta Tank Davis. But you saw Gervonta Tank Davis just reading him, and he set him up, and then Leo Santa Cruz did the same thing twice, and he uppercutted him. One of the most perfect uppercuts I've seen. Gervonta Tank Davis. The best uppercut that I've ever seen was, well, I guess Gervonta Tank Davis's uppercut of that one. I think you have to go back to George Foreman, right? And the way that he knocked out that one guy, I can't remember what his name is, but otherwise, there's been three very impressive knockouts. George Foreman's, there was Canelo versus Alfredo Angulo, and Gervonta Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. When you think about Leo Santa Cruz, Gervonta Tank Davis, that's when you can say, "Oh, now I know what ring IQ looks like." It looks like what Gervonta Tank Davis was doing a few seconds before he knocked him out. Okay, he beat a former four division champion in Leo Santa Cruz. Okay, okay. Then we go on to Mario Barrios, another fight that ended up, like you just stated, right? Ended up maturing well for him. What is it called? It what was that word called again? It matured well. What was the thing we were just talking about? What? How do you say that
Marinated.
again? No, not marinated. It not marinated.
Aged.
Aged well. So Mario Barrios, that win against Mario Barrios aged well. He goes up to fight Mario Barrios at 140 again, going up another two divisions, coming down to 130 for Leo Santa Cruz, then going up to 140 for Mario Barrios. He plays the pound for pound game and he beats Mario Barrios, who was undefeated, by the way, guys. I think maybe Mario Barrios may have held a baby belt, like an interim belt. Maybe it was a legitimate one. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure who he was a place holder for, but he ended up beating that undefeated fighter, who again you just mentioned. Mario Barrios went up to 147 to beat Yorkis Gambo. I mean, your Dennis Ugas, who beat Manny Pacquiao. Like Ugas really embarrassed Manny Pacquiao, guys. He really did, right? And this guy embarrassed Mario Barrios, right? Another fight that aged well, right? And then Mario Barrios, what does he go and do? He fights one of the best fighters in the world. Yeah, maybe 46-year-old fighter, but still, he ended up fighting Manny Pacquiao to a draw. Okay, Isaac Cruz. Who's Isaac Cruz? Oh man, this guy was going to be the next Canelo at lightweight. Yeah, I don't think Isaac Cruz aged well for Gervonta Tank Davis. I think Isaac Cruz has put up some great spectacular fights, but as far as his accomplishments, I think it's
He's
been
still a
going
name though.
downhill.
But
No,
he's
he's
still.
still a name, definitely. I agree. But the thing is this, Isaac Cruz is only a name because of how
No,
he survived Gervonta Tank Davis.
no. I was gonna say like he's a name, but I like he's actually proven to be like to actually be like not as hard of a puncher at 140. You know,
Yeah,
while
true,
while
true.
while Tank is literally knocked out. Not literally, but he knocked out Barrios at 140, I believe, right? Or at
Hmm.
147.
No, 140.
140,
Hmm.
a bigger man at
Yep.
Barrios, so uh, he's proven to be, you know, all around just better. And it's also just a good win. I'm always gonna highlight that the Mario Barrios one because
Yeah.
he's still doing it, bro. Like that's really the only seed that bloomed, besides like Leo Santa Cruz. After that knockout, I think he stopped, right? Like he just had one more fight after Tank. He
Yeah,
retired.
at 140, and then he immediately went up to 147. He was really struggling to make weight at 140.
Who? Leo Santa Cruz?
Oh no 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 no. Yeah, Leo Santa Cruz. I don't think he fought after that.
Yeah, I don't think he fought after that either. So,
Yeah,
that's
and of
another.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sad.
Yeah, yeah, it's just that, like,
Yeah.
so
Here's another one, Dream. Rolando Romero. Again, we just talked about it. This guy is a unified champion at 147, which is basically three
that's another one. Yeah,
divisions higher than where he fought Tank at. So this guy, obviously, I'm making fun of it, right? Rolando Romero does not deserve to get belts handed to him like like they've just done, right? But Rolando Romero is the guy who dropped and beat Ryan Garcia, who is the guy who just basically destroyed the career of Devin Haney. He has traumatized Devin Haney. And now Devin Haney is one of the most regressed and horrible, overly cautious fighters there is in the sport. That's Rolando Romero. This guy, his career is aging well for Gervonta Tank Davis. Hector Luis Garcia, not so much. Ryan Garcia, yes. That's a very good fight. That is also aging well for Gervonta. Brian Garcia is the guy who may have lost to one of the worst fighters, worse than him, Rolly, right? But he's the guy who ended up just mollywhopping on Devin Haney. It was a very close fight because on points Devin Haney was winning, but all those knockdowns you can't take that away from him. He just outdogged Devin Haney, bro. And this is Ryan Garcia, one of the worst fighters out there in the world. That fight is aging well for him. And look at Lamont Roach, bro, the guy who basically had a draw. At most, we can say that he had a draw. You can go back and say all these controversial things. Well, he should have gotten the knockdown because Gervonta walked away. He should have had the fight waved off, and okay, you know that kind of stuff, right? Whatever you want to say about Lamont Roach, you can say that he got robbed because they should have called that a knockdown, or he should have forfeited the fight, and they should have declared Lamont Roach the champion when Gervonta walked away. But here's the thing, guys. Let's not forget, Lamont Roach was a belt holder at 130. Gervonta Tank Davis brought him up to 135. And you know what's happened as a result of that? Lamont Roach is a belt holder at 130, yet ranked at 135. And guess who's calling him for a fight? All of a sudden, Lamont Roach is this hot commodity. And fighters such as Keyshawn Davis, true, legitimate, historic 140-pound fighters, are now calling for a fight with Lamont Roach, all because he had a draw with Gervonta Davis. Can you imagine, Dream, if I was to tell you that all of these fights have aged well for Gervonta, would
yeah,
you believe it, bro? I mean, every single one of them.
yeah, man. It just left a bitter taste in our mouths. Yeah,
Yeah, man. No, I when I had this conversation with the homie Ricky, I was like, bro, don't make me like and respect Gervonta Davis, bro. I've always thought like he's one of
well,
the
see,
worst things because I'll never forgive him for the Vasily
yeah, well,
Lomachenko, bro.
yeah, well, you see what he did. Like, he retired and got out of our ways. So yeah, we're gonna be off his back now. Like, I feel like since he retired and actually accepted this fight with Jake, they're actually trying to be cool with him because he still has clout, and he's not like trying to say that he's gonna be a world champ anytime soon. Like, he's not focused on that. So it's like all these reporters are like, all right, well, you still have clout, so like, maybe you can help us build. But I don't know. He's gonna be out the sport, bro. Like, he's just gonna be like a sideline spectator.
You
But
really think so, bro?
I rather think that than actually like continue to call for Tank. So I'm not gonna be that like type of fan to like, maybe if Tank comes out of retirement, Turkey give
Hmm.
him that money. It's like, dude, just let it go. Let it go. It's been too long. He's my age, bro. Like, he's like, yeah, he's my age, bro. So he's getting up there in age. His back's gonna give out. It's like, bro, it's just save your money, and like, if your head's not in it, then you know you'll do something else. Like, go. Go invest. You're chilling. You're good. You're well off.
Hmm.
Just get out the way. Let these other fighters like Shakur, Devin, fight each other and just stay out the limelight. You've done well. You've actually like broke barriers as far as size and and power. Like not a lot of dudes have his combination of skill and power. So it's just that he's small and size matters. So it's just um like we keep saying, this guy, should fight 135 pounders, but it's like, dude could have had the power to fight anybody, bro. Like he could not anybody, but I'm saying a 147 pounder. Like I would have loved to see him versus Keith. You know, and once I realized I was calling for that, that's when I realized, like, dude, I'm like reaching. Like he should have been fighting. He should have been fighting these 135 pounders. Like what's up with us bending down for this guy? So once I seen that, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I didn't
Hmm.
like that. I liked that fight. Because he has the because he has a power, and to actually do damage, and he's actually like, okay, talking a big game, and now it's like, dude, like, what are you actually doing? Like, you just faked us all out, type of thing.
Hmm.
So um, yeah.
So, bro, let me ask you, just for the sake of entertaining the notion of a Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul fight. First off, just to remind you guys, before you guys get all in the little pissy mood, right? It's an exhibition, guys. That means it's a non-sanctioned fight. It's not gonna lead to any kind of rankings, right? It's not even gonna go on any official record. It's it's an exhibition. And when you think of an exhibition, right? When you think of an exhibition, you think about just a display of skills for show, for entertainment, for whatever purposes, right? It means nothing. It's all for entertainment. So, with that being said, we shouldn't take this fight too seriously. It's going to be for entertainment. Now, you have to ask yourself, let's just say that they start playing around, that they're just going half-ass, right? Because when you think about for entertainment and for display purposes, you don't think that these guys are gonna go at it hard, right? You think more about like a glorified sparring match. Maybe headgear is involved, maybe not, right? Because how can a 135-pound fighter fight a guy that's, fighting over cruiserweight? It just doesn't make any kind of sense, right? But let's just say that these guys were to fight Dream. I think they're gonna half-ass it. I think it's implied in the name exhibition, right? Some people say, no, 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 you get it wrong. You got it wrong. Warp Speed. It's called an exhibition because it's not gonna be sanctioned, but these guys are definitely gonna fight. They just can't be ranked for it. Like nobody is gonna actually sanction this fight because of the health concerns, the repercussions of serious injury, because they're not supposed to be fighting each other. That's why the sanctioning body stayed away from it. But for the most part, these guys really will fight. Now, under the impression that they will fight, let me ask you, Dream, how does a 5'6", 135-pound fighter fight a guy who's 6'1" and 220 pounds?
How does that happen? You said
How do they fight? How do you fight that? How do you fight being Gervonta Tank Davis? How do you beat up a Jake Paul?
you gotta keep your distance and just hope that you knock him out
Your
because
arm reach, bro. You know that Jake Paul has one of the longest arm reaches in the sport, right?
yeah, but he fought a Mario Barrios that was also 6'1", 6'2", bro, taller than Jake.
Uh,
So that's another thing. Like he's done that before. He's connected to a chin that was that high.
true,
So
but now you're also talking about a guy that weighs 200 plus pounds.
yeah, and that's different story. Now we're talking. So his jab got more torque on it. It's not gonna take much of the glove to to actually like do like Jake when he lands a jab. Sometimes he won't land accurately. Like, he's not that most accurate jabber,
Yeah,
and
true.
but it's still coming with power, and it doesn't need to be flush for him to still make an effective jab on Tank, because he's so small, so he doesn't even have to be that accurate, bro. Just shit, if anything, bro, Jake got a stick and move, bro, because he's Tank got power, bro. Like he's gonna be running from power, bro. Like he's gonna be able to like run away from it successfully because because he's just gonna keep him at bay. It's gonna be like so easy for Jake, bro. So like it's just a size thing, and Tank has to worry about not getting clipped by a hook, you know, because then that's when you're in trouble, you know.
67-inch arm reach to 74, bro.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy, bro. I think I have like a 71. So even like, yeah, that shit's crazy. So, but I'm just saying, like, Tank has done it before, you know. So you just never know. Um, but still, it's like I'm always gonna give the edge to the bigger man, you know. Like it's probably gonna be look sloppy for Jake, but man, you just never know, bro. Like Jake is bigger, but and I know size matters, but and Jake has been doing this for a while. We're gonna find out, you know. So I'm always gonna. I think Jake is at least good enough to keep him at bay for 6 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever it's gonna, however many rounds it's gonna be to win actually win the fight against Tank.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna be so crazy. Like the optics, like how it's gonna look weighing in. Um, when they fight, get in the ring, it's like, dude, this is such a clown show. So it's gonna be crazy. That's what I'm really curious about, though. I'm still gonna be watching because it's gonna be free. Um, and obviously, I'm not really hating on it. I'm just more relieved.
Yeah, I agree, bro. Like the best thing, to some extent, that can happen to the sport is Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't
And
fight again.
and same thing is gonna happen when, in a sense, like, but it's gonna be like he gave Canelo. Like when Canelo retires, it's gonna be such a relief for all these fighters. It's gonna be so many opportunities for these fighters to change their lives because Canelo has been holding up that many divisions and all that.
True, true. Yep, yep.
So
You're right. You're right. Well, yeah, well.
yeah, huh, yeah,
Yes, well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, okay, a
huh?
lot of people are holding off on making fights with other fighters just because they want to win the Canelo sweepstakes. I agree with that. I don't think that's Canelo's fault. Um, but that doesn't take away the fact that that is true, right? Some fighters have refused to fight each other because of Canelo. They're trying to keep their records intact and unblemished in order to get the fight. Like Canelo, I mean, and that's probably the fans' faults, right? Because the fans just want to see undefeated fighters. Like undefeated means everything to them. So these guys are trying to, right? But yeah, I think once Canelo departs from the sport, I think we'll see a lot of other fighters trying to make their bones because guess what? You won't make your bones through Canelo anymore, right? So I like you do hope that Canelo retiring comes soon enough. Hopefully, after he beats Terence Bud Crawford, he goes up to 175 to. I don't know, bro. Do you want to see Canelo fight at 175, or did you not find it to be impressive enough for your competitive uh,
Wait, what?
expectations? Canelo 175,
Nah, I mean, I think he's too slow at 175, and
even at 168, huh?
I mean, I remember initially hearing about him moving up to 168. I said I didn't like it. I was just like, no, like he's gonna be like he's so small. I just expected him to like to be a king like at 154, like be a haggler, because Marvin was running shit at 154, bro, and he was the man at 154. I thought that's what Canelo was set to be. But he just wants to move up, and yeah, and just I think 160. Well, that's when I was like, dang man, like okay, that's it though, And then 168, I was like, God damn, bro, like what's your goal? So when I found out 175 as well, I was like, oh my God, I think he kind of did what he tried to, move up to 175. Oh, he fought Bavois at 175, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, so yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, man. He just overcalculated, or I don't know, just kind of
He was too small.
he's just small and just kind of has a chin, bro, and he just feels like he can take power,
And
like
I think he can, bro. I think he can. I think his defense is very
dude,
good,
if
impregnable. Because I mean, those it doesn't matter, bro. He was blocking a lot of those punches that Beaver was throwing, bro. It's just that Beaver was so strong that even with the punches being blocked, he was pushing Canelo back. Like that's when you knew, bro. 175 is a whole different animal, bro.
yeah,
But here's the thing.
175, he met his match at 175,
Yeah, that's his peak, bro. But here's the thing. Speaking of small, have you seen Terrence Crawford, the way that he looks and the pictures that he's been releasing recently, where everybody's so concerned about him being too small? Have you seen those pictures?
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing pictures, but I just kind of don't look at the comments.
Yeah. So what do you think about how he looks? Does he look too small for 168? Has he
There's only
bulked up too much? Is he too thin? Is being too thin and light the strategy in order to retain some of his speed and explosiveness, or do you think it's gonna affect him by being so what seems to be pretty thin and less bulky compared to Canelo?
like he only has so much time, or really, ever since the
A whole
talk,
year.
talk started, like 1 year just isn't
Well,
enough.
it's been about 8 months.
Yeah, or however much time it was, bro. Like, just he was not expecting this opportunity,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure once he got the opportunity, or once he heard the opportunity, he really started to like test his body and started to like, acclimate his body to the bigger weights. Like once he heard the opportunity, and obviously took a fight with Madrimov at 154 to really, get his feet wet in a sense. Even though two more weight classes he had to move up after that, and it's just not enough time, for your body to actually be a full-fledged 168 pounder. But he just got to trust in boxing, the science of boxing, bro. Like he's got to trust that and hope he can take the power, because you got to, in order to be a 168, a full-fledged 168 pounder, you got to add on layers of muscle, bro. And then you got to have training camps at those weight classes, and you're having eating regimens at that weight, to become that weight, so
Well, he's with Snack, bro, so Snack will definitely help with
I
that.
I know, but our body's just not built to like be as big as 168. Like 168 pounders, when they eat and when they are replenished, they are close to like 190 or 200 pounds. Like
And that's what I
Crawford,
that's
but
what I was gonna
Crawford,
get at.
but yeah,
So,
go ahead.
oh no, no. So I was gonna say that a couple of months back, there was a picture that was making the rounds of Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford looks so bloated, bro. I mean, don't get me wrong, he looks fit. You can still see his muscles, but he looks big, bro. Like he looks,
Mhm,
I would say, fat, right?
mhm.
Now, this was months back, and apparently, what they were, what people were saying, is that Terrence Bud Crawford was walking around like 180 something, and that he was just working out and building muscle at 180 something, with the intent being he was gonna walk around and basically carry himself, living his life as a walk around weight of 168. Yeah, I mean 180 something, 190, and then he was gonna suck down to 168. In other words, instead of being one, I don't know, 56, and slowly building up muscle to go to 168. He blew up to 180s, 190s, walked around there and lightly trains there. And then as the fight date progresses, it gets near, that's when he starts coming down in weight to make weight, sucking down and things of that sort. But in other words, the whole purpose is he's going to be walking around heavy and train heavy in order for him to suck down in weight instead of going up in weight, you see? So if you look at it like that, this guy's trying to, like you stated, bulk up and then lose that weight in order to feel fresher and explosive. The other one is where he meets Canelo 168, but he doesn't have to even fight nowhere close to 168. He just goes in there and becomes the lighter fighter at 156, 140, 158, 160, or whatever. But he has the speed, the explosiveness, and things of that sort. Most recently, there was a picture where I thought Crawford looked pretty good. He looked strong, he looked fit, he looks ready, but people still think he looks too skinny, too thin, too fragile. If you were Terrence Bud Crawford, bro, would you walk in the day of the fight lighter than people expect or
Yeah.
heavier?
Yeah, I'll probably come in like 165 or 160 something, you know, like right under that. Like I don't need to be 168. Like I need to be uh the the strongest I can be, you know,
Mhm,
like at that weight. Like it's the goal now. The like pretty much uh you try to like when you make weight, you're so
mhm,
like and you're like a full fledged whatever you are, a full fledged 147 pounder. Um, you like there's so many obstacles you have to like get over, and that's like making sure like you're peaking at the right time, and then you have to make sure like you're peaking at the right time where you're weighing in and you feel the best, because
mhm,
it's time when it's time to eat, you're only going to
mhm,
have so much time, you know. And in this case, he wants to have enough food in his stomach where it's not going to affect them in the fight, you know. And it's not going to be like it's going to be energy that it's going to be he's going to be burning, but he also wants to be heavy in a where he can like withstand some of the punches that Canelo had, or
true.
the
Yep.
power that he has,
So 160, 162 makes
it's
sense,
about
right?
yeah it's
Because
about
here's the
having a
thing.
it's about having the workout. Imagine you're trying to
Mhm,
have a workout, but you're also focused on what you eat before that workout so you won't burp during the workout,
mhm,
so he's trying to feel the best at
true.
that strongest at fight night.
So walk in there 161, 162, and then rehydrate to like 175, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And at the same time, Canelo walks in there at 168, and then he rehydrates to what, like 180 something?
yeah. 185, 190.
185. Okay, 190. Now, here's the thing. One way or another, this is the thing that I say about Bud. Bud has to retain his explosiveness and his speed. He has to be able to retain his feet, his footwork, right? How do you do that? Come in there lighter than your opponent. Why? Because Canelo, really, for the most part, bro, he's not quick on his feet. And I'm not trying to insinuate that he's, lead footed or nothing like that. He's slow footed. I'm not trying to say
Ah,
that.
that's what you
I
said.
know that the reason he does that is because he's trying to carry his power, right? He's trying to use his plotting footwork in order to be explosive. He has to rely a lot on this explosiveness, his speed, his reaction, and his timing, right? But if if Terrence Bud Crawford holds on to some semblance of speed, it'll carry him at the advantage because he's around the same height as Canelo. He's rangier than Canelo, right? And if he walks in there lighter, he's gonna be quicker than Canelo. And Canelo, man, he doesn't even try to cut off the ring anymore. Like, I mean, if you move too much, he's like, whatever, bro. He's the champion, right? He's not supposed to be chasing you. You're supposed to be going after his throne. You're supposed to go after his belt. So, maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it, but I think it's true. I think, you know, Bud is supposed to go out there and beat the champ, not the other way around. And we already know how that works. If you try to take out the champ and you don't take him out, if you try and just jab your way out there, jab and move like William Skull, bro, you're gonna get the cards making you look like a bum, right? So I think Terrence Bud Crawford does have to walk in there lightly. He has to be quick on his feet, and I think that's the way that he could win. Be explosive, be quick on your feet, use your range, I'm not saying you should move out of the way. And then again, Terrence Bud Crawford doesn't really duck the smoke, bro. He's a mid-range to inside fighter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mid-range for
Uh,
sure,
who?
but
Yeah, yeah. He's a different style fighter, bro. Like he takes more risks, and that's what's actually gonna be his downfall. So you never really see him. I mean, his last fight, he was really like trying to keep Madrimov at bay, but he kept feigning, and you kept seeing him bite on the feint, So he was like not biting, my bad, but he was like you seen him like move, like he was moving with him, like the rhythm, like how he was bouncing in and out. Crawford was like boom, shelling up. Remember?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Here's the thing, though, but Canelo doesn't do that.
yeah, yeah.
He feints, yeah. And here's the thing, though,
He
about
stays there and he
Canelo.
stalks you.
He stalks you and feints, and when he gets you biting on the feint, he can drop you.
Mm.
That's the thing, though, right? That's the beauty about Canelo's feints. They're not that many, but they're very subtle. He gathers data, and he mostly uses that subtleness of his feint in order for you to react, and that's when he drops you. I think that's the way that it'll go. I think that's exactly what will happen. I think Canelo will drop Crawford. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully he knocks him out. Cause bro, I need to see a Canelo knockout, bro. I mean, I've watched so many fights of Canelo now in a row, and he hasn't knocked out anybody, bro. It's getting to be tedious and boring. Please
Yeah,
knock
yeah.
out the
No, I agree.
smaller guy, bro. Beat the guy who has one of the worst records for an undisputed champion. I listen, bro. There's only one fighter that has a worse undisputed champion than Terrence Bud Crawford. That's Winky Wright. What was it? Jermaine Taylor. Who's the guy who beat Bernard Hopkins, bro? When Bernard Hopkins became undisputed, he held this 160. I think it was 160 or 154 championships for like 6 years in a row, bro. Defending for like 6 years, like 12 fights or whatever, right? And all of a sudden, this guy goes over there, just Johnny come lately beats uh, Bernard Hopkins and becomes undisputed in one fight. Ridiculous, bro.
Who beats
Like
him?
I can't remember who it was, bro.
I think it was
Uh,
Joe Galzaghi. No,
no, no, no, no, no, no, no. Bernard Hopkins had already
Ned Hopkins.
yeah, he had already lost. There was an undisputed guy that he became undisputed by just beating Bernard Hopkins, bro. That's when I knew undisputed really didn't mean much because I was like, nah, bro. All it takes is
By
for you to
beating
win.
Bernard.
Yeah, he beat Bernard, bro. Like yeah, or whatever
Oh
you want
yeah,
to
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. It was Jermaine Taylor. Yeah, he beat him twice.
Jermaine Taylor, bro. Yeah, he beat Jermaine. Yeah, he had his number, bro. He had his number. He beat him twice, bro. Like Jermaine Taylor. That guy is the worst undisputed champion in history.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought Jermaine was good, bro. Like he was coached by I think by what's his name? Either he was coached by Teddy Atlas or him, or I think that dude from Kronk Gym, Manuel Stewart,
Mhm.
one or the other. But nah, he's got some names on his resume. He kind of bridges over from like the old school fighters, like the old school '90s fighters, to the newer era fighters.
Yeah.
Jermaine
So
Taylor.
these guys are the undisputed male champions, bro. Alexander Usyk, 2-time undisputed champion. Yeah, a very impressive run. Very impressive run, especially a heavyweight. Artur Beterbiev, very impressive. Right?
Mm.
He got 4 belts, bro. He beat 4 men, bro, for 4 belts. That's crazy, literally. Alexander Usyk only had to beat 3, if I'm not mistaken. Naoya
Mm.
Inoue, I think he only had to beat 2. I think Naoya Inoue is also a 2 division undisputed champion. Um, Devin Haney, 1 division undisputed champion. Devin Haney's uh, resume and the way that he became undisputed was very good. There's Alvarez, right? Jamel Charlo, another very great run for both of those guys. Josh Taylor, bro. Josh Taylor's his undisputed run. I think he beat up three guys. Incredible, all of them. And then you look at Jermaine Taylor, bro. Even Bernard Hopkins, bro. Jermaine Taylor is the worst one of them all, bro, and the worst one of them. Like even Terrence Bud Crawford's resume and the way that he became undisputed is better than Jermaine Taylor's, bro. But he's not better to Terrence Bud Crawford's way at getting to be undisputed is not better than Jermell Charlo at 154, not better than Canelo's at 168, not better than Josh Taylor, not better than Alexander Usyk, not better than Bernard Hopkins, better than Jermaine Taylor. Yeah, Terrence Bud Crawford is the second worst undisputed champion that's ever been, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Terrence
true, bro. I
Crawford. I
just read
mean,
him out to
yeah,
you.
dude. I feel like
I just read him out to you. Yeah, bro. He has to get
damn,
knocked out,
bro.
bro.
Yeah, I don't
He has to
know.
get knocked out.
Who Crawford?
Yeah,
Yes.
Canelo has
So
to knock him out, bro.
like
He has to knock him out, bro.
I mean, I don't know if I say that. Like I think friends knocking him out. He kind of defies the odds, and he proves that seeing will always win, bro. Like he's always gonna stick to it. Hear me? I'm making my whole computer fucking glitch.
Yeah, you're making a computer glitch, bro. It's coming through. Anyways, bro. Yeah, just
Oh, really?
yeah, you were like breaking in and out, bro. You were having some robotic moments there.
Oh shit. Yeah, it's
No,
just
you're
because
good.
I'm on
You're good, bro.
BoxRec, and every time I get on BoxRec on the computer while I'm live, I'm good. I'm good right now.
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because every time I go on, BoxRec, while I'm live, it does that. I'm like, dude, fuck. I had to use my personal phone. But yeah, man, I had to watch out.
Bro, look, I think we should end the live now, but I want to go live on you on another topic that's unrelated. Not today,
Oh,
though. Not today. But there's this very controversial incident that occurred between law enforcement and a pet owner, right? Um, this pet owner, her dog, was about to die, and in order to save the dog's life, she was blowing through red lights, just running her intermittent blinkers on, and just running and zigzagging through traffic. And then the cops seen her and pulled her over. And then, long story short, the dog died because the lady was pulled over by the police. It's more complicated than that, but a lot of the world is now divided because some pet owners are like, bro, that's so cruel. And now they started to dox the peace officer. Like they started to reveal her name, her address, and all these animal lovers, pet lovers, are like bombarding her and emailing her, threatening her, trying to get her fired from this police job that she just got 4 months ago, right? The police officer, all she did was make sure that this reckless driver was, escorted out of her own harm, right? But a lot of people are saying, bro, where's your oath to protect and serve? Like you knew that this person had an emergency. She explained it to you. And instead of using your power to help and serve, turn on your flashers and help her get to the vet, you stopped her in her tracks and the animal died. You are a cruel, heartless individual that should no longer serve in the role as a peace officer. And yet other people are saying, no, bro, I'm sorry, bro. A dog is a dog. I don't care. You almost killed people. You almost ran people out the road. And then, of course, there's the people that come on and say, dogs over humans. It's a very controversial incident. I'm going to send you the video. I want you to watch it. And then I want you to think about what would you do if you were the peace officer, right? And then I want you to read some of the comments just so you can get an idea. And then we'll talk about it in the next live because it's a very fascinating topic, bro. It's not boxing related, guys, but it's more like crime, law and crime, or law and punishment, whatever you want to say, right? I think we'll have to address that soon enough because I'm undivided, guys. I don't know. I'm for people, bro. I respect animals. I love them, mostly eating them, right? But I understand that some people do see their pets as an extension of their family, as children or whatnot, brothers, sisters, or whatever. I'm gonna send that video to you, Dream. Hopefully, you get time to look at it. Hopefully, you get time to formulate some ideas around that the whole incident, and we'll address it in the next live. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, Dream, thank you very much for hopping on this here live with me today to discuss code, code switching, s- staying on code or whatever, right? I don't know what that means. I just know that it's not good for the sport of boxing, in my opinion. But thank you very much for addressing these and other issues with me today. Dream, it was a pleasure catching up with you, dude. We'll have to do it soon enough, okay? All
All right, man. Peace.
right, peace.